Chapter 32 of Jerusalem to Revelations, a Quartet of Spiritual Experience, by William Blake and others. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. A recording by Tony Addison. The Chapters of Coming Forth by Day. Chapter 126. From the Papyrus of Nu. Vignette. A lake of fire, at each corner of which is seated a dog-headed ape. Text. The overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief, Nu, triumphant, the son of the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief, Amen Hetep triumphant, saith, Hail, ye 4 apes, who sit in the bows of the boat of Ra, who convey right and truth to Neb-er-Tchach, who sit in judgment on my misery and on my strength, who make the gods to rest contented by means of the flame of your mouths, who offer holy offerings to the gods and sepulchral meals to the Khus, who live upon right and truth, and who feed upon right and truth of heart, who are without deceit and fraud, and to whom wickedness is an abomination. Do ye away with my evil deeds, and put ye away my sin, which deserved stripes upon earth, and destroy ye any evil whatsoever that belongeth unto me, and let there be no obstacle whatsoever on my part towards you. O grant ye that I may make my way through the underworld, Amahet. Let me enter into Rastar. Let me pass through the hidden pylons of Amentet. O grant that there may be given to me cakes, and ale, and sweetmeats, even as they are given to the living Khus, and grant that I may enter in and come forth from Rastar. The 4 apes make answer, saying, Come then, for we have done away with thy wickedness, and we have put away thy sin, along with the sin deserving of stripes which thou didst commit upon earth, and we have destroyed all the evil which belonged to thee upon the earth. Enter therefore into Rastar, and pass thou through the hidden pylons of Amentet, and there shall be given unto thee cakes, and ales, and sweetmeats, and thou shalt come forth, and thou shalt enter in at thy desire, even as do those Khus who are favoured of the gods, and thou shalt be proclaimed or called each day in the horizon. Chapter 127a. From the Tomb of Rameses. Vignette. This version of the 127th chapter has not yet been found in the papyri containing the Theban recension. In the Sa'ite recension, the deceased stands with both hands raised in adoration before a table of offerings placed in the presence of 6 gods, 3 standing upright and 3 seated, each of whom holds in his hands a flail and a sceptre. The first god has the head of a bull, the second is jackal-headed, the third is snake-headed, the fourth is human-headed, the fifth is bull-headed, and the 6th is human-headed. The last 3 have feathers, emblematic of right and truth, on their heads. Text. The book of the praise of the gods of the Qerti, which a man shall recite when he cometh forth before them to enter in to see the god in the great temple of the underworld. And he shall say, Homage to you, O ye gods of the Qerti, ye divine dwellers in Amentet. Homage to you, O ye guardians of the doors of the underworld, who keep ward over the god, who bear and proclaim the names of those who come into the presence of the god Osiris, and who hold yourselves ready, and who praise him, and who destroy the enemies of Ra, O send ye forth your light, and scatter ye the darkness which is about you. And behold ye the holy and divine mighty one, O ye who live even as he liveth, and call ye upon him that dwelleth within his divine disk. Lead ye the king of the north and of the south, Uzar Matra Setep En Amen, the son of the sun, Ra Meziz Meri Amen Ra Hekmat. Through your doors may his divine soul enter into your hidden places, for he is one among you, and he hath shot forth calamities upon the serpent fiend Apep, and he hath beaten down the obstacles which Apep set up in Amentet. Thy word hath prevailed mightily over thine enemies, O great God, who livest in thy divine disk. Thy word hath prevailed mightily over thine enemies, O Osiris, governor of Amentet. Thy word hath prevailed mightily over thine enemies in heaven and in earth, O thou king of the north and of the south, Usa Mat Ra Setep En Amen. The son of the sun, Ra Meziz Meri Amen Ra Hek Mat. And over the sovereign princes of every god and of every goddess, O Osiris, governor of Amentet, he hath uttered words in the presence of the god in the valley of the dead, and he hath gained the mastery over the mighty sovereign princes. Hail, ye doorkeepers! Hail, ye doorkeepers, who guard your gates, who punish souls, who devour the bodies of the dead, who advance over them at their examination in the places of destruction, who give right and truth to the soul and to the divine Khu, the beneficent one, the mighty one, whose throne is holy in Akhet, who is endowed with soul like Ra, and who is praised like Osiris. Lead ye along the king of the north and of the south, Uzar Mat Ra Setep En Amen, the son of the sun, Ramesses Meri Amen Ra Hekmat. Bolt ye for him the doors, and open ye the place of his Kirti for him. Behold, make ye his word to triumph over his enemies, and indeed let meat offerings and drink offerings be made unto him by the god of the double door, and let him put on the Nemes crown of him that dwelleth in the great and hidden shrine. Behold the image of Heru Kuti Harmakis, who is doubly true, and who is the divine soul and the divine and perfect Khu. He hath prevailed with his hands. The two great and mighty gods cry out to the king of the north and south, Uzar Mat Ra Setep En Amen, the son of the sun, Ra Meziz Meri Amen Ra Hekmat. They rejoice in him, they sing praises to him, and clap their hands. They accord him their protection, and he liveth. The king of the north and south, Uzar Mat Ra Setep En Amen, the son of the sun, Ramesses Meri Amen Ra Hekmat, riseth like a living soul in heaven. He hath been commanded to make his transformations. He hath made himself victorious before the divine sovereign chiefs, and he hath made his way through the gates of heaven and of earth and of the underworld, even as hath Ra. The king of the north and south, Uzar Mat Ra Seten En Amen, the son of the sun, Ra Meziz Meri Amen Ra Hekmat, saith, Open unto me the gates of heaven and of earth and of the underworld, for I am the divine soul of Osiris, and I rest in him, and let me pass through their halls. Let the gods sing praises unto me when they see me. Let me enter, and let favour be shown unto me. Let me come forth, and let me be beloved. And let me go forward, for no defect or failing hath been found clinging unto me. Chapter 127b. From the Papyrus of Ptah-mes. Vignette: 16 gods in 4 groups, each containing 2 pairs. Before each group is a table of offerings. Text: a chapter to be recited on coming before the divine sovereign chiefs of Osiris to offer praise unto the gods who are the guides of the underworld. Osiris, the chief scribe and draftsman, Ptah-mes, triumphant, saith: Homage to you, O ye gods who dwell in the Kheti, ye gods who dwell in Amentet, who keep ward over the gates of the underworld and are the guardians thereof, who bear and proclaim the names of those who come into the presence of Osiris, who praise him and do destroy the enemies of Ra. O send forth your light, and scatter ye the darkness which is about you, and look upon the face of Osiris, O ye who live even as he liveth, and praise ye him that dwelleth in his disk, and lead ye me away from your calamities. Let me come forth, and let me enter in through your secret places, for I am a mighty prince among you, for I have done away with evil there, and I have beaten down the obstacles which have been set up in Amentet. Thou hast been victorious over thine enemies, O thou that dwellest in thy disk. Thou hast been victorious over thine enemies, O Thoth, who producest statutes. Thou hast been victorious over thine enemies, O Osiris, the chief scribe and draftsman, Ptah-mes, triumphant. Thou hast been triumphant over thine enemies, O Osiris, thou governor of Amentet, in heaven and upon earth, in the presence of the divine sovereign chiefs of every god and of every goddess. And the food of Osiris, the governor of Amentet, is in the presence of the god whose name is hidden before the great divine sovereign chiefs. Hail, ye guardians of the doors, ye gods who keep ward over their habitations, who keep the reckoning, and who commit souls to destruction, who grant right and truth to the divine soul which is stablished, who are without evil in the abode of Akhet, who are endowed with soul even as is Ra, and who are as is Osiris. Guide ye Osiris, the chief scribe, the draftsman, Ptah-mes, triumphant. Open ye unto him the gates of the underworld, and the uppermost part of his estate and his court. Behold, make ye him to be victorious over his enemies. Provide ye him with the offerings of the god of the underworld. Make noble the divine being who dwelleth in the Nemes crown, the lord of the knowledge of Akhet. Behold, stablish this soul in right and truth, and let it become a perfect soul that hath gained the mastery with its 2 hands. The great and mighty gods cry out, He hath gotten the victory, and they rejoice in him, and they ascribe praise unto him with their hands, and they turn unto him their faces. The living one is triumphant, and is even like a living soul dwelling in heaven, and he hath been ordered to perform his transformations. Osiris triumphed over his enemies, and Osiris, the chief scribe and draftsman, Ptah-mes, triumphant, hath gained the victory over his enemies in the presence of the great divine sovereign chiefs who dwell in heaven, and in the presence of the great divine sovereign chiefs who dwell upon the earth. Chapter 129. From Lepsius, Totenbook. Vignette: the deceased standing before a table of offerings, with both hands raised in adoration, in the presence of the gods Osiris, Isis, Horus, the son of Isis, and Nephthys. Text: a hymn of praise to Osiris. The Osiris, Aufang, triumphant, saith: Homage to thee, O Osiris Un-Nefer, triumphant, thou son of Nut, thou firstborn son of Seb, thou mighty one who comest forth from Nut, thou king in the city of Nifu-Ur, thou governor of Amentet, thou lord of Abtu Abydos, thou lord of souls, thou mighty one of strength, thou lord of the Atep crown in Suten-Henen, thou lord of the divine form in the city of Nifu-Ur, thou lord of the tomb, thou mighty one of souls in Tatu, thou lord of sepulchral offerings, thou whose festivals are many in Tatu. The god Horus exalteth his father in every place or shrine, and he uniteth himself unto the goddess Isis and unto the goddess Nephthys, and the god Thoth reciteth for him the mighty glorifyings which are within him, and which come forth from his mouth, and the heart of Horus is stronger than that of all the gods. Rise up then, O Horus, thou son of Isis, and avenge thy father Osiris. Hail, O Osiris, I have come unto thee. I am Horus, and I have avenged thee, and I feed this day upon the sepulchral meals of oxen and feathered fowl, and upon all the beautiful things offered unto Osiris. Rise up then, O Osiris, for I have struck down for thee all thine enemies, and I have taken vengeance upon them for thee. I am Horus, upon this beautiful day of thy fair rising in thy soul, which exalteth thee along with itself, on this day before thy divine sovereign princes. Hail, O Osiris! Thy car hath come unto thee, and is with thee, and thou restest therein in thy name of Kar-Hetep. I maketh thee glorious in thy name of Ku, and it maketh thee like unto the morning star in thy name of Pehu, and it openeth for thee the ways in thy name of Ap-Uat. Hail, O Osiris! I have come unto thee, and I have set thine enemies under thy feet in every place, and thou art triumphant in the presence of the company of the gods and of the divine sovereign chief. Hail, O Osiris! Thou hast received thy sceptre, and the place whereon thou art to rest, and thy steps are under thee. Thou bringest food to the gods, and thou bringest sepulchral meals unto those who dwell in their tombs. Thou hast given thy might unto the gods, and thou hast created the great God. Thou hast thy existence with them in their spiritual bodies. Thou gatherest thyself unto all the gods, and thou hearest the word of right and truth on the day when offerings to this God are ordered on the festivals of Ukar. Chapter 129. See Chapter 100. Chapter 130. From the Papyrus of Nu. Vignette. In the Papyrus of Nu, this chapter has no vignette, but in the Sa'ite Recension the deceased is seen standing in the stern of a boat behind Ra and two other gods. Text. Another chapter of making perfect the Khu, which is to be recited on the birthday of Osiris, and of making to live the soul for ever. The Chancellor-in-Chief, Nu, triumphant, saith: The heavens are opened, the earth is opened, the west is opened, the east is opened, the southern half of heaven is opened, the northern half of heaven is opened, the doors are opened, and the gates are thrown wide open to Ra, as he cometh forth from the horizon. The Sektet boat openeth for him the double doors, and the Martet boat bursteth open for him the gates. He breatheth, and the god Shu cometh into being, and he createth the goddess Tefnut. Those who are in the following of Osiris follow in his train, and the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief Nu triumphant, followeth on in the train of Ra. He taketh his iron weapon, and he forceth open the shrine, even as doth Horus, and pressing onwards he advanceth unto the hidden things of his habitation with the libations of his divine shrine. The messenger of the god that loveth him, the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, bringeth forth the right and the truth, and he maketh to advance the going forward of Osiris. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, taketh in his hands the cordage, and he bindeth fast the shrine. Storms are the things which he abominateth. Let no water-flood be nigh unto him. Let not the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, be repulsed before Ra, and let him not be made to turn back. For behold, the eye is in his two hands. Let not the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, walk in the valley of darkness. Let him not enter into the lake of those who are evil, and let him have no existence among the damned, even for a moment. Let not the Osiris Nu fall headlong among those who would lead him captive, and let not his soul go in among them. Let his divine face take possession of the place behind the block of the god Septu. Hymns of praise be unto you, O ye divine beings of the thigh. The knives of God work in secret, and the two arms and hands of God cause the light to shine. It is doubly pleasant unto him to lead the old unto him, along with the young at his season. Now, behold, the god Thoth dwelleth within his hidden places, and he performeth the ceremonies of libation unto the god who reckoneth millions of years. And he maketh a way through the firmament, and he doeth a way with storms and whirlwinds from his stronghold. And the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, arriveth in the places of his habitations. O ye divine beings of the thigh, do ye away with his sorrow and his suffering and his pain, and may the sorrow of the Osiris Nu be altogether put away. Let the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, gratify Ra. Let him make a way into the horizon of Ra. Let his boat be made ready for him. Let him sail on happily, and let Thoth put light into his heart. Then shall the Osiris Nu triumphant praise and glorify Ra, and Ra shall hearken unto his words, and he shall beat down the obstacles which come from his enemies. I have not been shipwrecked, I have not been turned back in the horizon, for I am Ra Osiris, and the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief, shall not be shipwrecked in the great boat. Behold him whose face is in the god of the thigh, because the name of Ra is in the body of the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief, and his honour is in his mouth. He shall speak unto Ra, and Ra shall hearken unto his words. Hymns of praise unto thee, O Ra, in the horizon, and homage unto thee, O thou that purifiest with light the denizens of heaven. O thou who hast sovereign power over heaven at that supreme moment when the paddles of thine enemies move with thee. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, cometh with the ordering of right and truth, for there is an iron firmament in Amentet, which the fiend Apep hath broken through with his storms before the double Lion God, and this will the Osiris Nu set in order. O hearken ye, ye who dwell upon the top of the throne of majesty. The Osiris Nu shall come in among thy divine sovereign chiefs, and Ra shall deliver him from Apep each day, so that he may not come nigh unto him, and he shall make himself vigilant. The Osiris Nu shall have power over the things which are written. He shall receive sepulchral meals, and the god Thoth shall provide him with the things which should be prepared for him. The Osiris Nu maketh right and truth to go round about the bows in the great boat, and hath triumph among the divine sovereign chiefs, and he establisheth it for millions of years. The divine chiefs guide him, and give unto him a passage in the boat, with joy and gladness. The first ones among the company of the sailors of Ra are behind him, and he is happy. Right and truth are exalted, and they have come unto their divine Lord, and praises have been ascribed unto the god Neb-er-Tcher. The Osiris Nu, the overseer at the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, hath taken in his hands the weapon, and he hath made his way through heaven therewith. The denizens thereof have ascribed praises unto him, as unto a divine being who standeth up and never sinketh to rest. The god Ra exalteth him by reason of what he hath done, and he causeth him to make of none effect the whirlwind and the storm. He looketh upon his splendours, and establisheth his oars, and the boat saileth round about in heaven, rising like the sun in the darkness. Thoth, the mighty one, leadeth the Osiris Nu within his eye, and he sitteth upon his thighs in the mighty boat of Khepera. He cometh into being, and the things which he saith come to pass. The Osiris Nu advanceth, and he journeyeth round about heaven and to Amentet. The fiery deities stand up before him, and the god Shu rejoiceth exceedingly, and they take in their hands the bows of the boat of Ra, along with his divine mariners. Ra goeth round about, and he looketh upon Osiris. The Osiris Nu is at peace. The Osiris Nu is at peace. He hath not been driven back. The flame of thy moment hath not been taken away from him. O Ra, the whirlwind and the storm of thy mouth have not come forth against him. He hath not journeyed upon the path of the crocodile, for he abominateth the crocodile, and it hath not drawn nigh unto him. The Osiris Nu embarketh in thy boat, O Ra. He is furnished with thy throne, and he receiveth thy spiritual form. The Osiris Nu travelleth over the paths of Ra at daybreak, to drive back the fiend Nebt. He cometh upon the flame of thy boat, O Ra, upon that mighty thigh. The Osiris Nu knoweth it, and he attaineth unto thy boat, and behold, he sitteth therein, and he maketh sepulchral offerings. Rubric. This chapter shall be recited over a boat of the god Ra, which hath been painted in colours in a pure place. And behold, thou shalt place a figure of the deceased in the bows thereof, and thou shalt paint a sectet boat upon the right side thereof, and an attet boat upon the left side thereof, and there shall be made unto them offerings of bread and cakes and wine and oil, and every kind of fair offering upon the birthday of Osiris. If these ceremonies be performed, his soul shall have existence, and shall live for ever, and shall not die a second time. The following is from the rubric to this chapter in the Sa'it recension. He shall know the hidden things of the underworld. He shall penetrate the hidden things in Neter Kertet, the underworld. This chapter was found in the large hall of the temple under the reign of his Majesty Hesepti Triumphant, and it was found in the cavern of the mountain which Horus made for his father Osiris Unnefer Triumphant. Now, since Ra looketh upon this deceased in his own flesh, he shall look upon him as the company of the gods. The fear of him shall be great, and the awe of him shall be mighty in the hearts of men, and gods, and Khus, and the damned. He shall be with his soul, and shall live for ever. He shall not die a second time in the underworld, and on the day of weighing of words no evil hap shall befall him. He shall be triumphant over his enemies, and his sepulchral meals shall be upon the altar of Ra in the course of each day, day by day. End of chapter 32. Chapter 33 of Jerusalem to Revelations, a Quartet of Spiritual Experience, by William Blake and others. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Tony Addison. The Chapters of Coming Forth by Day. Chapter 131. From the Papyrus of Nu. Vignette. This chapter is without vignette, both in the Papyrus of Nu and in the Sa'ite Recension. Text. The chapter of having existence nigh unto Ra. The overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief, Nu, triumphant, saith, I am that god Ra, who shineth in the night. Every being who followeth in his train shall have life in the following of the god Thoth, and he shall give unto him the risings of Horus in the darkness. The heart of Osiris, Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, is glad, because he is one of those beings, and his enemies have been destroyed by the divine princes. I am a follower of Ra, and I have received his iron weapon. I have come unto thee, O my father Ra, and I have advanced to the god Shu. I have cried unto the mighty goddess. I have equipped the god Hu, and I alone have removed the nebbed god from the path of Ra. I am a Khu, and I have come to the divine prince at the bounds of the horizon. I have met and I have received the mighty goddess. I have raised up thy soul in the following of thy strength, and my soul liveth through thy victory and thy mighty power. It is I who give commands in speech to Ra in heaven. Homage to thee, O great God in the east of heaven. Let me embark in thy boat, O Ra. Let me open myself out in the form of a divine hawk. Let me give my commands in words. Let me do battle in my Sekhem. Let me be master under my vine. Let me embark in thy boat, O Ra, in peace, and let me sail in peace to the beautiful Amentet. Let the god Tem speak unto me, saying, Wouldst thou enter therein? The lady, the goddess Mehem, is 1,000,000 of years, yea, 2,000,000 of years in extent, and dwelleth in the house of Urt and Nefort, and in the lake of 1,000,000 years. The whole company of the gods move about among those who are at the side of him who is the Lord of divisions of places. And I say, on every road and among these millions of years is Ra, the Lord, and his path is in the fire. And they go round about behind him, and they go round about behind him. Chapter 132. From the Papyrus of Ani. Vignette: the deceased standing before a house and holding a long staff in his hand. In the Brocklehurst papyrus the soul of the deceased, in the form of a human-headed bird, is seen hovering over a house, by the side of which is a tree. Text: the chapter of causing a man to come back to see his house upon earth. The Osiris Ani saith, I am the lion god, coming forth with extended strides. I have shot arrows, and I have wounded the prey. I have shot arrows, and I have wounded the prey. I am the eye of Horus, and I pass through the eye of Horus at this season. I have arrived at the furrows. Let the Osiris Ani advance in peace. Chapter 133. From the Papyrus of Nu. Vignette: the god Ra, hawk-headed, and having upon his head the sun's disk, encircled with a serpent, seated upon a throne in a boat. In his right hand he holds a sceptre, and in the left the emblem of life. Above him is the legend, Ra in his shrine. Before him, but outside the boat, stands Nebseni, who maketh adoration to Ra each day with both hands raised in adoration. Text: the book of making perfect the coup, which is to be recited on the day of the month. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, saith, Ra riseth in his horizon, and his company of the gods follow after him. The god cometh forth out of his hidden habitations, and food falleth out of the eastern horizon of heaven at the word of the goddess Nut, who maketh plain the paths of Ra, whereupon straightway the prince goeth round about. Lift up then thyself, O thou Ra, who dwellest in thy divine shrine. Draw thou into thyself the winds. Inhale the north wind. Swallow thou the skin of thy net on the day wherein thou breathest right and truth. Thou separatest the divine followers, and thou sailest in thy boat to Nut. The divine princes march onwards at thy word. Thou takest count of thy bones. Thou gatherest together thy members. Thou settest thy face towards the beautiful Amentet, and thou comest, being renewed each day. Behold, thou art that image of gold, and thou dost possess the splendours of the discs of heaven, and art terrible. Thou comest, being renewed each day. Hail, the horizon rejoiceth, and there are shouts of joy in the rigging of thy boat, when the gods who dwell in the heavens see the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant. They ascribe unto him, as is due, praises which are like unto those ascribed unto Ra. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, is a divine prince, and he seeketh the Ureret crown of Ra, and he, the only one, is strong in good fortune, in that supreme body which is of those divine beings who are in the presence of Ra. The Osiris Nu is strong both upon earth and in the underworld, and the Osiris Nu is strong like unto Ra every day. The Osiris Nu shall not tarry, and he shall not lie without motion in this land for ever. Being doubly beautiful, he shall see with his two eyes, and he shall hear with his two ears, rightly and truly, rightly and truly. The Osiris Nu is like unto Ra, and he setteth in order the oars of the boat among those who are in the train of Nu. He doth not tell that which he hath seen, and he doth not repeat that which he hath heard. in the secret places. Hail! Let there be shouts of joy to the Osiris Nu, who is of the divine body of Ra, as he journeyeth over Nu, and who propitiateth the car of the god with that which he loveth. The Osiris Nu, the overseer at the palace, the chancellor in chief, is a hawk, the transformations of which are mighty or manifold. Rubric. This chapter shall be recited over a boat 4 cubits in its length, and made of green porcelain, on which have been painted the divine sovereign chiefs of the cities, and a heaven with its stars shall also be made, and this thou shalt have made ceremonially pure by means of natron and incense. And, behold, thou shalt make an image of Ra in yellow colour upon a new plaque, and set it at the bows of the boat. And behold, thou shalt place an image of the Khu which thou dost wish to make perfect, and place it in this boat, and thou shalt make it to travel about in the boat, which shall be made in the form of the boat of Ra, and he shall see the god Ra himself therein. Let not the eye of any man whatsoever look upon it, with the exception of thine own self, or thy father, or thy son, and guard this with great care. Now these things shall make the Khu perfect in the heart of Ra, and it shall give unto him power with the company of the gods, and the gods shall look upon him as a divine being like unto themselves, and mankind and the dead shall look upon him, and shall fall down upon their faces, and he shall be seen in the underworld in the form of the radiance of Ra. Chapter 134. From the Papyrus of Nu. Vignette. The boat of the sun, before which stand the deceased and his daughter. On the bows is perched the hawk of Horus, with the crown of the south upon his head. In the boat are the gods Shu, Tefnut, Seb, Nut, Osiris, Isis, and Hathor, human-headed, and Horus, hawk-headed. In the Sa'it Recension the gods in the boat are 9 in number, and behind them is the disk of the sun. Text. Another chapter of making perfect the Khu. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief triumphant, saith, Homage to thee, O thou who art within thy divine shrine, who shinest with rays of light, and sendest forth radiance from thyself, who decreest joy for millions of years unto those who love him, who givest their heart's desire unto mankind, thou god Khepera, within thy boat, who hast overthrown Apep. O ye children of the god Seb, overthrow ye the enemies of Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief triumphant, and destroy ye them from the boat of Ra, and the god Horus shall cut off their heads in heaven, where they are in the form of feathered fowl, and their hind parts shall be on the earth in the form of animals, and in the lake in the form of fishes. Every male fiend and every female fiend shall the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, destroy, whether he descendeth from the heaven, or whether he cometh forth from the earth, or whether they come upon the waters, or whether they advance towards the stars. The god Thoth, the son of Aner, coming forth from the Anerti, shall hack them in pieces. The Osiris Nu is silent and dumb. Cause ye this god, the mighty one of the slaughter, the being greatly to be feared, to make himself clean in your blood, and to bathe himself in your gore, and ye shall certainly be destroyed by him from the boat of his father Ra. The Osiris Nu is the god Horus, to whom his mother, the goddess Isis, hath given birth, and whom the goddess Nephthys hath nursed and dandled, even like Horus when he repulsed the fiends of the god Suti. And when they see the Ureret crown stablished upon his head, they fall down upon their faces, and they glorify him. Behold, when men and gods and Khus and the dead see the Osiris Nu in the form of Horus with the Ureret crown stablished upon his head, they fall down upon their faces. And the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, is victorious over his enemies in the heights of heaven and in the depths thereof, and before the divine sovereign chiefs of every god and of every goddess. Rubric. This chapter shall be recited over a hawk, standing and having the white crown upon his head, and over figures of Tem, Shu, Tefnut, Seb, Nut, Osiris, Isis, Suti, and Nephthys, painted in yellow colour upon a new plaque, which shall be placed in a model of the boat of the sun, along with a figure of the deceased, whom thou wouldst make perfect. These shalt thou anoint with cedar oil, and incense shall be offered up to them on the fire, and feathered fowl shall be roasted. It is an act of praise to Ra as he journeyeth, and it shall cause a man to have his being along with Ra day by day, whithersoever the god voyageth. And it shall destroy the enemies of Ra in very truth, regularly and continually. Chapter 135. From Lepsius, Totenbuch. Vignette. This chapter has no vignette. Text. Another chapter to be recited when the moon reneweth itself on the day of the month. The Osiris Auf Ankh triumphant saith, Osiris unfettereth, or, as others say, openeth the storm cloud in the body of heaven, and is unfettered himself. Horus is made strong happily each day. He whose transformations are great, or many, hath offerings made unto him at the moment, and he hath made an end of the storm which is in the face of the Osiris Auf Ankh triumphant. Verily he cometh, and he is Ra in his journeying, and he is the four celestial gods in the heavens above. The Osiris Auf Ankh triumphant cometh forth in his day, and he embarketh among the tackle of the boat. The chapter of travelling in the boat of Ra. Rubric. If this chapter be known by the deceased, he shall become a perfect Khu in the underworld, and he shall not die therein a second time, and he shall eat his food side by side with Osiris. If this chapter be known by him upon earth, he shall be like unto Thoth, and he shall be adored by the living ones. He shall not fall headlong at the moment of royal flame of the goddess Bast, and the mighty princess shall make him to advance happily. Chapter 136a. From the Papyrus of Nu. Vignette. This chapter has no vignette in the Theban Recension. Text. Another chapter of travelling in the great boat of Ra. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, saith, Behold now, O ye luminaries in Anu, ye people in Ker Abba, the god Ka hath been born, his cordage hath been completed, and the instrument wherewith he maketh his way hath he grasped firmly. I have protected the implements of the gods, and I have delivered the boat Ka for him. I have come forth into heaven, and I have travelled therein with Ra in the form of an ape, and have turned back the paths of Nut at the staircase of the god Sebek. Chapter 136a. From the Papyrus of Nu. Vignette. In the Theban recension this chapter has no vignette, but in the Sa'ite recension the deceased stands in the boat of the god Ra, who is seated therein. Text. Another chapter of making perfect the coup. It shall be recited on the festival of Six. The Osiris Nu, the overseer at the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, saith, Behold now, O ye luminaries in Anu, Heliopolis, ye people in Ke-Aba, the god hath been born, his cordage hath been completed, and the instrument wherewith he maketh his way he hath grasped firmly, and the Osiris Nu is strong with them to direct the implement of the gods. The Osiris Nu hath delivered the boat of the sun therewith, and he cometh forth into heaven. The Osiris Nu saileth round about in heaven, he travelleth therein unto Nut, he journeyeth along with Ra, and he voyageth therein in the form of apes. He turneth back the water flood, which is over the thigh of the goddess Nut, at the staircase of the god Sebaku. The hearts of Seb and Nut are glad, and repeat the name which is new. Neferu reneweth his youth, Ra is in his splendours of light, and Ti hath his speech, and lo, the god of the inundation is prince among the gods. The taste of sweetness hath forced a way into the heart of the destitute one, and the lord of thy outcries hath been done away with, and the oars of the company of the gods are in vigorous motion. Adored be thou, O divine soul, who art endowed more than the gods of the south and north in their splendours. Behold, grant thou that the Osiris Nu may be great in heaven, even as thou art great among the gods. Deliver thou him from every evil and murderous thing which may be wrought upon him by the fiend, and fortify thou his heart. Grant thou, moreover, that the Osiris Nu may be stronger than all the gods, all the Khus, and all the dead. The Osiris Nu is strong, and is the lord of powers. The Osiris Nu is the lord of right and truth, which the goddess Huachet worketh. The strength which protects the Osiris Nu is the strength which protects the god Ra in heaven. O god Ra, grant thou that the Osiris Nu may travel on in thy boat in peace, and do thou prepare a road whereon thy boat may journey onwards. For the force which protecteth Osiris is the force which protecteth thee. The Osiris Nu driveth back the crocodile from Ra day by day. The chapter of making perfect the coup. The Osiris Nu cometh even as doth Horus in the splendours of the horizon of heaven, and he directeth Ra through the mansions of the sky. The gods rejoice greatly when the Osiris Nu repulseth the crocodile. The Osiris Nu hath the amulet of the god, and the cloud of Nebt shall not come nigh unto him, and the divine guardians of the mansions of the sky shall not destroy him. The Osiris Nu is a divine being whose face is hidden, and he dwelleth within the great house, the chief of the shrine of the god. The Osiris Nu carrieth the words of the gods to Ra, and he cometh and maketh supplication unto the divine Lord with the words of his message. The Osiris Nu is strong of heart, and he maketh his offering at the moment among those who perform the ceremonies of sacrifice. Rubric. This chapter shall be said over a figure of the deceased, which shall be placed in a model of the boat of the sun. And, behold, he that reciteth it shall be washed, and shall be ceremonially pure, and he shall have burnt incense before Ra, and shall have offered wine, and cakes, and roasted fowl, for the journey of the deceased in the boat of Ra. Now every Khu for whom such things are done shall have an existence among the living ones, and he shall never perish, and he shall have a being like unto that of the holy God. No evil thing whatsoever shall attack him, and he shall be like unto a happy Khu in Amentet, and he shall not die a second time. He shall eat and he shall drink in the presence of Osiris each day. He shall be borne along with the kings of the north and of the south each and every day. He shall quaff water at the fountain head. He shall come forth by day, even as doth Horus. He shall live, and shall become like unto God, and he shall be hymned by the living ones, even as is Ra, each and every day, continually and regularly, for ever. Chapter 136b. From the Papyrus of Nu. Vignette: a boat in which is the head of a hawk, emblematic of Ra, whereupon is a disk encircled by a serpent. Over the bows and stern are uchets, or symbolic eyes. Text: the chapter of sailing in the great boat of Ra to pass over the circle of bright flame. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, saith: Hail, ye bright and shining flames that keep your place behind Ra, and which stay behind him. The boat of Ra is in fear of the whirlwind and the storm. Shine ye forth then, and make ye yourselves visible. I have come daily along with the god Sekra from the bight of his holy lake, and I have seen the mart goddesses pass along, and the lion gods who belong unto them. Hail, thou that dwellest in the coffer, who hast multitudes of plants. I have seen what is there. We rejoice, and their princes rejoice greatly, and their lesser gods are glad. I have made a way in front of the boat of Ra. I have lifted myself up into his divine disk. I shine brightly through his splendours. He hath furnished himself with the things which are his, taking possession thereof as the Lord of right and truth. And behold, O ye company of the gods, and thou ancestor of the goddess Isis, grant ye that he may bear testimony to his father, the lord of those who are therein. I have weighed thee in him as chief, and I have brought to him the goddess Tefnut, and he liveth. Behold, come, come, and declare before him the testimony of right and truth of the Lord Tem. I cry out at eventide, and at his hour, saying, Grant ye unto me that I may come. I have brought unto him the jaws of the passages of the tomb. I have brought unto him the bones which are in Anu, Heliopolis. I have gathered together for him his manifold parts. I have driven back for him the serpent-beamed Apep. I have spit upon his gashes for him. I have made my road, and I have passed in among you. I am he who dwelleth among the gods. Come, let me pass onwards in the boat of the Lord Sar. Behold, O Heru there is a flame, but the fire hath been extinguished. I have made my road, O ye divine fathers, and your divine apes. I have entered upon the horizon, and I have passed on to the side of the divine princes, and I have borne testimony unto him that dwelleth in his divine boat. I have gone forward over the circle of bright flame, which is behind the lord of the lock of hair, which moveth round about. Behold, ye who cry out over yourselves, ye worms in your hidden places, grant ye that I may pass onward. For I am the Mighty One, the Lord of divine strength, and I am the spiritual body, Sa, of the Lord of divine right and truth, made by the goddess Uachit. His strength which protecteth is my strength which protecteth, which is the strength which protecteth Ra. Grant ye that I may be in the following of Ra, and grant ye that I may go round about with him in Sekhet Hetep and in the two lands. I am a great god, and I have been judged by the company of his gods. Grant that divine sepulchral meals may be given unto me. End of chapter 33. Chapter 34 of Jerusalem to Revelations, a Quartet of Spiritual Experience, by William Blake and others. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Tony Addison. The Chapters of Coming Forth by Day. Chapter 137a. From the Papyrus of Nu. Vignette. 4 men, each holding a flame, standing in the presence of a god, before whom are 4 pools or lakes. Text. The chapter of the 4 blazing flames which are made for the coup. Behold, thou shalt make 4 square troughs of clay, whereon thou shalt scatter incense, and thou shalt fill them with the milk of a white cow, and by means of these thou shalt extinguish the flame. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, saith, The fire cometh to thy car, O Osiris, governor of Amenti. The fire cometh to thy car, O Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant. He that ordereth the night cometh after the day. The flame cometh to thy car, O Osiris, governor of those in Amenti, and the 2 sisters of Ra come likewise. Behold, the flame riseth in Abtu Abydos, and it cometh, and I cause it to come to the eye of Horus. It is set in order upon thy brow, O Osiris, governor of Amenti, and it is fixed within thy shrine, and riseth upon thy brow. It is set in order upon thy breast, O Osiris Nu, and it is fixed upon thy brow. The eye of Horus is protecting thee, O Osiris, governor of Amenti, and it keepeth thee in safety. It casteth down headlong all thine enemies for thee, and all thine enemies have fallen headlong before thee. O Osiris Nu, the eye of Horus protecteth thee, it keepeth thee in safety, and it casteth down headlong all thine enemies. Thine enemies have fallen down headlong before thy car, O Osiris, governor of Amenti. The eye of Horus protecteth thee, it keepeth thee in safety, and it hath cast down headlong all thine enemies. Thine enemies have fallen down headlong before thy car, O Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant. The eye of Horus protecteth thee, it keepeth thee in safety, it hath cast down headlong for thee all thine enemies, and thine enemies have fallen down headlong before thee. The eye of Horus cometh, it is sound and well, and it sendeth forth rays like unto Ra in the horizon. It covereth over with darkness the powers of Suti, it taketh possession thereof, and it bringeth its flame against him upon its feet. The eye of Horus is sound and well, thou eatest the flesh of thy body by means thereof, and thou givest praise thereto. The 4 flames enter into thy car, O Osiris, governor of Amenti. The 4 flames enter into thy car, O Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant. Hail, ye children of Horus, Mesti, Hapi, Tuamoutef, and Kebsennuf, ye have given your protection unto your divine father Osiris, the governor of Amenti. Grant ye your protection to the Osiris Nu, triumphant. Now, therefore, inasmuch as ye have destroyed the opponents of Osiris, the governor of Amenti, he liveth with the gods, and he hath smitten Suti with his hand and arm, since light dawned upon the earth, and Horus hath gotten power, and he hath avenged his divine father Osiris himself. And inasmuch as your divine father hath been made vigorous through the union which ye have effected for him with the car of Osiris, the governor of Amenti, now the eye of Horus hath avenged him, and it hath protected him, and it hath cast down headlong for him all his enemies, and all his enemies have fallen down before him. Even so do ye destroy the opponents of the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief, triumphant. Let him live with the gods, let him smite down his enemy, let him destroy him when light dawneth upon the earth. Let Horus gain power and avenge the Osiris Nu. Let the Osiris Nu have vigour through the union which ye have effected for him with his car. O Osiris Nu, the eye of Horus hath avenged thee, it hath cast down headlong all thine enemies for thee, and all thine enemies have fallen down headlong before thee. Hail, Osiris, governor of Amenti, grant thou light and fire to the happy soul which is in Suten Henen, Heracleopolis. And, O ye children of Horus, grant ye power unto the living soul of the Osiris Nu within his flame. Let him not be repulsed, and let him not be driven back at the doors of Amentet. O that his offerings of bread and of linen garments be brought unto him among those of the lords of funeral oblations. O offer ye praises as unto a god to the Osiris Nu, destroyer of his opponents, in his form of right and truth, and in his attributes of a god of right and truth. Rubric. This chapter shall be recited over 4 fires, made of a cloth which hath been anointed with hatet unguent of Thehenu, and they shall be placed in the hands of 4 men, who shall have the names of the pillars of Horus written upon their shoulders, and they shall burn the fires in the beautiful rays of Ra, and this shall confer power and might upon the Khu among the stars which never set. If this chapter be recited for him, he shall never, never fail, and he shall become a living soul for ever, and these fires shall make the Khu as vigorous as Osiris, the governor of Amenti, regularly and continually for ever. It is a great struggle. Thou shalt not perform this ceremony before any human being except thine own self, or thy father, or thy son, because it is an exceedingly great mystery of Amentet, and is a type of the hidden things of the underworld. For when this ceremony hath been performed, the gods and the Khus and the dead shall see him in the form of the governor of Amenti, and he shall have power and dominion like this god. If thou shalt undertake to perform for him what is ordered in this chapter of the 4 blazing flames each day, thou wilt cause the form of the deceased to come forth from every hall in the underworld, and from the 7 halls of Osiris, and he shall have an existence in the form of the god. He shall have power and dominion corresponding to that of the gods and the Khus for ever and ever. He shall enter in through the hidden pylons, and shall not be turned back before the god Osiris. And it shall come to pass, if these things have been done for him, that he shall enter in and come forth. He shall not be turned back. No limit to his journeying shall be set, and he shall not have sentence of evil passed upon him on the day of the weighing of words before the god Osiris for ever and ever. And thou shalt perform what is ordered in this book for the deceased, and he shall become perfect and pure. And thou shalt open his mouth with the iron instrument, and shalt write down these writings in accordance with the things which are found in the books of the royal son Herul Tartar, who discovered them in a hidden chest. Now they were in the handwriting of the god himself, in the temple of the goddess Unut, the lady of Unu, Hermopolis, during his journey to make an inspection of the temples, and of the lands, and of the funeral shrines of the gods. And these things shall be done secretly in the underworld. They are mysteries of the underworld, and they are a type of the mysteries of Neter Kert. And thou shalt say, I have come, advancing quickly, and casting light upon his footsteps, and hiding myself to cast light upon his hidden place. I stand up behind the Tet. I stand up behind the Tet of Ra, turning back the slaughter. I am protecting thee, O Osiris. Rubric. This chapter shall be recited over a Tet of crystal, which is set up upon a brick made of green clay, whereupon hath been inscribed this chapter. Then thou shalt make a cavity in the west wall, and having turned the front of the Tet towards the east, therein thou shalt wall it up with earth moistened with cedar juice. It will repulse the enemies of Osiris, who set themselves at the east wall. And thou shalt say, I have driven back thy foes, and I have kept watch for thee, and he that is upon his mountain, that is, Anubis, hath kept watch at thy moment, and hath repulsed thy foes for thee. I have driven back the crocodile for thee at thy moment, and I am protecting thee, O Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant. Rubric. This chapter shall be recited over a figure of Anubis, made of green clay, kneaded with incense, and set up on a brick of green clay, whereupon it hath been inscribed. Then thou shalt make a cavity in the east wall, and having turned the face of Anubis towards the west therein, thou shalt wall it up. It will repulse the enemies of Osiris, who set themselves at the south-west wall. And thou shalt say, I am the collar or girdle of sand around the hidden coffer, turning back the arm from the blazing flame of the funeral mountain. I have marched over the roads, and I am protecting the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant. Rubric. This chapter shall be recited over a brick of green clay, whereupon it hath been inscribed. And thou shalt place incense in the middle thereof, and thou shalt smear it with pitch or resin, and set light to it. Then thou shalt make a cavity in the south wall, and having turned the front of the brick towards the north therein, thou shalt wall it up. It will repulse the enemies of Osiris, who set themselves at the north wall. And thou shalt say, O thou that comest to make a burning, I will not let thee do it. O thou that comest to shoot forth fire, I will not let thee do it. I will burn thee, I will shoot forth fire at thee, for I am protecting the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant. Rubric. This chapter shall be recited over a brick of green clay, whereupon it hath been inscribed, along with a figure of a palm tree, 7 fingers in height, and thou shalt open its mouth. Then thou shalt make a cavity in the north wall, and having turned the face of the figure towards the south therein, thou shalt wall it up. It will repulse the enemies of Osiris, who set themselves at the south wall. And behold, these things shall be performed by a man who is clean, and is ceremonially pure, one who hath eaten neither meat nor fish, and who hath not recently had intercourse with women. And behold, thou shalt make offerings of cakes and ale, and shalt burn incense on the fire of these gods. And every Khu for whom these things shall be done shall become like a holy god in the underworld. He shall not be turned back at any gate in Amentet, and he shall be in the following of Osiris, wheresoever he goeth, regularly and continually. Chapter 137b. From the Papyrus of Nebseni. Vignette. The Goddess. Vignette. The Goddess Api, the lady who giveth protection in the form of a hippopotamus, setting light to a vessel of incense. In the Sa'it Recension, the deceased is seen sitting upon a chair with two burning lamps on each side of him. There the chapter is called a chapter of making the flame to burn up. Text. The chapter of kindling a flame by Nebseni, the scribe and draftsman in the temple of Ptah. He saith, the white or shining eye of Horus cometh, the brilliant eye of Horus cometh. It cometh in peace, it sendeth forth rays of light unto Ra in the horizon, and it destroyeth the powers of Set according to the decree. It leadeth them on, and it taketh possession of him, and its flame is kindled against him. Its flame cometh and goeth about, and bringeth adoration. It cometh and goeth about heaven in the train of Ra, upon the two hands of thy two sisters, O Ra. The eye of Horus liveth, yea, liveth within the great hall. The eye of Horus liveth, yea, liveth, and is mouth F. Chapter 138. From the Papyrus of Nu. Vignette. The standard, emblematic of the nome of Teni, the capital of which was Abydos, surmounted by plumes and uraeus, etc., being set up by Isis and Osiris. On each side winged uchats, a fan or fly-flapper held upright by an emblem of life, from which project human hands and arms, the hawk emblematic of Horus Sept, a ram having plumes above his horns, and three gods standing upright. On one side are the souls of Pe, and the jackal, emblem of Anpu, Anubis, or of Ap-Uat, and on the other are the souls of Tep and the jackal, emblems of Ap-Uat, or of Ampu. Beneath the standard are the lion gods of the horizon, one of whom is called Yesterday, and the other Tomorrow. Text. The chapter of entering into Abtu, and of being in the following of Osiris. The Osiris Nu, the overseer of the house, the chancellor-in-chief triumphant, saith, Hail, ye gods, who dwell in Abtu Abydos! Ye divine sovereign chiefs, who are gathered together, come ye forward with joy and gladness to meet me, and look ye upon my divine father Osiris. I have been judged, and I have come forth from his shrine. I am Horus, the lord of Kempt, Egypt, and of the red hilly desert. I have taken possession thereof. There is none who hath power over him. His eye is mighty against his enemies. He hath avenged his divine father. He hath destroyed the water flood of his mother. He hath crushed his enemies. He hath put down violence mightily, and hath stilled the strength of the god Nebt. The divine prince of many peoples, the sovereign of the two lands, hath taken possession of the house of his divine father by means of the written decrees. I have been tried in the balance. My word is right and true. I have gained the mastery over my enemies, and bring to naught the things which they work against me. I am strong in the strength which protecteth me. I am the son of Osiris, and my divine father protecteth his body with strength and might. Chapter 139. C. Chapter 123. Chapter 140. From Lepsius, Toten Book. Vignette. The deceased kneeling, with both hands raised in adoration, before the jackal of Anubis, which is couchant on a pylon, a kneeling figure having an uchat on his head, and the god Ra. Text. The book which is to be recited on the last day of the second month of the season Pert, when the uchat is full in the second month of the season Pert. The Osiris Auf Ankh saith, The divine power hath risen, and shineth in the horizon, and the god Tem hath risen out of the odour of that which floweth from him. The Khus shine in heaven, and Het Ben Benet rejoiceth, for there is among them a form which is like unto themselves, and there are shouts and cries of gladness within the shrine, and the sounds of those who rejoice go round about through the underworld, and homage is paid unto him at the decree of Tem and Heru Khuti, Harmachis. His Majesty ordereth the company of the gods to follow in the train of his Majesty. His Majesty ordereth the calling of the uchat with you to my members. He hath given strength to all my limbs, and hath made them vigorous, that which cometh forth from the mouth of his Majesty. His divine eye resteth upon its seat with his Majesty at that hour of the night, on the day of the fulfilment of the fourth hour, or 4 hours, of the beautiful land, and the last day of the second month of the season Pert. The Majesty of the uchat is in the presence of the company of the gods, and his Majesty shineth as he shone in the primeval time, when the uchat was first upon his head. Ra, Tem, Uchatet, Shu, Seb, Osiris, Suti, Horus, Menth, Ba, Ra-e-Nehe, Tehuti, Nam, Techeta, Nut, Isis, Nephthys, Hathor, Necht, Mert, Mart, Ampu, and Ta-Mez-Techeta are the soul and body of Ra. The computation of the uchat hath been made in the presence of the divine lord of this earth. It is full to the uttermost, and it resteth or setteth. And these gods are rejoicing on this day, and they have their hands beneath them, and the festival of every god having been celebrated, they say, Hail, praise be unto thee, O thou who art as Ra, rejoice in him, for the mariners of his boat sail round about, and he hath overthrown the fiend Apep. Hail, praise be unto thee, O thou who art as Ra, who maketh himself to come into being in the form of the god Khepera. Hail, praise be unto thee, O thou who art as Ra, for he hath destroyed his enemies. Hail, praise be unto Ra, for he hath crushed the heads of the children of impotent rebellion. And praise and rejoicing be unto the Osiris Auf Ankh, triumphant. Rubric. This chapter shall be recited over an uchat of real lapis lazuli, or of stone plated with gold, before which shall be offered every kind of fair and pure oblation, when Ra showeth himself on the last day of the second month of the season Pert. And thou shalt make another uchat of jasper, and place it upon such part of the dead man's body as thou pleasest. And when this chapter hath been recited before the boat of Ra, the deceased shall be borne along with these gods, and he shall become one of them, and he shall be made to rise up in the underworld. And whilst this chapter is being recited, and likewise whilst the offerings are being made at the time when the uchat is full, 4 altars shall be lighted for Ra Tem, and 4 for the uchat, and 4 for the gods who have been mentioned. And upon each one of them shall there be bread cakes made of fine flour, and 5 white cakes, and plants, and 5 white cakes, and shai, and 5 bark, and of incense 1 measure, and of Tek incense 1 measure, and 1 roasted joint of meat. End of chapter 34. Chapter 35 of Jerusalem to Revelations, a Quartet of Spiritual Experience, by William Blake and others. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Tony Addison. The chapters of coming forth by day. Chapters 141 and 142 from the Papyrus of Nu. Vignette. The deceased, with hands raised in adoration, bowing before a table of offerings of every kind, or the deceased standing and offering incense and pouring out a libation before Osiris, or the god Osiris seated within a shrine on a throne, by the side of which stand Isis and Nephthys. On a lotus flower stand the 4 children of Horus, and on a standard is a jackal, emblematic of Anubis. These vignettes are figured by Naville, and differ entirely from the vignette which accompanies chapter 142 in the Sa'it Recension. Originally, the text of chapters 141 and 142 formed one composition, but it might readily be divided into 2 sections, viz., the list of the gods to whom a man was directed to make offerings for the benefit of his father and his son, and a list of the names of Osiris, and this is what the editors of the Sa'it Recension actually did, and they emphasized the division by giving to each section a distinct title. In the Sa'it Recension the title of the first section runs: "Here beginneth the book of making perfect the deceased, and of knowing the names of the gods of the southern and northern heavens, and of the gods of the Celti, and of the gods who are the guides of the underworld Tuat. It shall be recited by a man for his father or for his mother." Text. Here beginneth the book which a man shall recite for his father or for his son during the festivals of Amentet, whereby he shall make him perfect with Ra and with the gods, and whereby he shall have his existence with them. It shall be recited on the 9th day of the festival. Behold, the Osiris Nu, the overseer of the palace, the chancellor in chief triumphant, maketh offerings of cakes and ale and oxen and feathered fowl and joints of roast meat, and he burneth incense. 1. To Osiris, the governor of Amenti. 2. To Ra Heru Kuti, Ra Harmachis. 3. To Nu. 4. To Mart. 5. To the boat of Ra. 6. To Temu. 7. To the great company of the gods. 8. To the little company of the gods. 9. To Horus, the lord of the Ureret crown. 10. To Shu. 11. To Tefnut. 12. To Seb. 13. To Nut. 14. To Isis. 15. To Nephthys. 16. To the temple of the cars of Nebt-Ertja. 17. To the raging one of heaven who raiseth up the god. 18. To Aukert, dwelling in her place. 19. To the city of Mate Kebitet, the Sahu of the god. 20. To the goddess greatly beloved with red hair. 21. To the goddess joined unto life with flowing hair. 22. To the goddess whose name is mighty in her works. 23. To the bull, the husband of the divine cow. 24. To the beautiful power of the beautiful rudder of the northern heaven. 25. To him that revolveth, the guide of the two lands, the beautiful rudder of the western heaven. 26. To the God of light, who dwelleth in the temple of the Ashemu beings, the beautiful rudder of the eastern heaven. 27. To the dweller in the temple of the ruddy ones, the beautiful rudder of the southern heaven. 28. To Mesthi. 29. To Hapi. 30. To Tuamatef. 31. To Keb Senuf. 32. To the Atert of the south. 33. To the Atert of the north. 34. To the Sektet boat. 35. To the Met boat. 36. To Thoth. 37. To the gods of the south. 38. To the gods of the north. 39. To the gods of the west. 40. To the gods of the east. 41. To the gods of the thigh. 42. To the gods of the funeral offerings. 43. To the great house. 44. To the temple of flame. 45. To the gods of the places of the dead. 46. To the gods of the horizon. 47. To the gods of the fields. 48. To the gods of the divine Perti. 49. To the gods of the divine Nesli. 50. To the roads of the south. 51. To the roads of the north. 52. To the roads of the east. 53. To the roads of the west. 54. To the doors of the underworld. 55. To the pylons of the underworld. 56. To the leaves of the hidden doors. 57. To the hidden doors. 58. To the guardians of the leaves of the doors of the Tuat underworld. 59. To the hidden faces who guard the roads. 60. To the guardians who give divine food. 61. To the guardians of the funeral mountains who give happy faces. 62. To the flaming beings who give forth fire. 63. To the divine burning altars. 64. To those who scatter and extinguish the flame of fire in Amentet. 65. To Osiris Un Nefer. 66. To Osiris Ankhti. 67. To Osiris Lord of Life. 68. To Osiris Lord of Wholeness. 69. To Osiris Dweller in Peku. 70. To Osiris Orion Sa. 71. To Osiris Sa. 72. To Osiris Dweller in Temples. 73. To Osiris in Resenet. 74. To Osiris in Mehenet. 75. To Osiris Golden One of millions of years. 76. To Osiris Bati Erpit. 77. To Osiris Ptah Lord of Life. 78. To Osiris Dweller in Restau. 79. To Osiris Dweller in the Funeral Mountain. 80. To Osiris in Ati. 81. To Osiris in Setet. 82. To Osiris in Netjefet. 83. To Osiris in Resu. 84. To Osiris in Pe. 85. To Osiris in Neteru. 86. To Osiris in Sao the Lower. 87. To Osiris in Bakhet. 88. To Osiris in Sunu. 89. To Osiris in Rehenet. 90. To Osiris in Apem. 91. To Osiris in Kefenu. 92. To Osiris Sekri in Peche. 93. To Osiris dweller in his city. 94. To Osiris in Pescre. 95. To Osiris in his habitations in the land of the north. 96. To Osiris in heaven. 97. To Osiris in his habitations in Restau. 98. To Osiris Netchesti. 99. To Osiris Atef-ur. 100. To Osiris Sekri. 101. To Osiris governor of eternity. 102. To Osiris the begetter. 103. To Osiris in the water. 104. To Osiris in battle. 105. To Osiris lord of everlastingness. 106. To Osiris prince. 107. To Osiris Taiti. 108. To Osiris in Restau. 109. To Osiris upon his sand. 110. To Osiris dweller in the hall of the cow. 111. To Osiris in Tananet. 112. To Osiris in Netebit. 113. To Osiris in Sar. 114. To Osiris in Beteshu. 115. To Osiris in Tepu. 116. To Osiris in Sao the Upper. 117. To Osiris in Nepert. 118. To Osiris in Shenu. 119. To Osiris in Henket. 120. To Osiris in Tar Sekri. 121. To Osiris in Shau. 122. To Osiris in Fat Heru. 123. To Osiris in Mati. 124. To Osiris in Hena. In the Sa'it Recension, chapter 142 is much fuller than in the papyri extant which contain the Theban Recension. As there given, it is in a tabular form, and is divided into 6 sections, each containing 26 lines. It runs: Text: The book of making perfect the deceased, and of making him to advance with long strides, and to come forth by day in all the transformations which please him, and to know the names of the god Osiris in every place wherein he chooseth to be. The Osiris Auf Ankh, born of Sheret Amsu triumphant, saith: 1. Osiris Un-Nefer. 2. Osiris the living one. 3. Osiris lord of life. 4. Osiris Nebet-Cher. 5. Osiris opener of the back of the 2 lands. 6. Osiris dweller in Un. 7. Osiris dweller in corn. 8. Osiris Sa, Orion. 9. Osiris holy crown of the souls of Anu, Heliopolis. 10. Osiris dweller in Thenenet. 11. Osiris in Resenet. 12. Osiris in Mehenet. 13. Osiris lord of millions of years. 14. Osiris son of the 2, that is, Isis and Nephthys. 15. Osiris Ptah, lord of life. 16. Osiris dweller in Restau. 17. Osiris governor of the world dwelling in Tatu. 18. Osiris dweller in the funeral mountain. 19. Osiris holy soul in Tatu. 20. Osiris in Ati, 21. Osiris in Hezet, or, as others say, in Netese, 22. Osiris, lord of Ta Anktet, that is, land of life, 23. Osiris in Sau, Sais, 24. Osiris in Nechet, 25. Osiris in the south, or, as others say, among the divine sovereign chiefs, 26. Osiris in Pe, 2. 1. Osiris in Tept, 2. Osiris in Netrach, 3. Osiris in Lower Sau, Sais, 4. Osiris in Upper Sau, Sais, 5. Osiris in Anrut Af, 6. Osiris in the two hawk gods, 7. Osiris in Sunu, 8. Osiris in Renen, 9. Osiris in Upper, 10. Osiris in Kephanu, 11. Osiris in Sekri, 12. Osiris in Patet, 13. Osiris in his temple in Rastab, 14. Osiris in Nifur, 15. Osiris in Netit, 16. Osiris dweller in his city, 17. Osiris Hentit, that is, Osiris of the two crocodiles, 18. Osiris in Pakez, 19. Osiris in his temple in the land of the south, 20. Osiris in his temple in the land of the north, 21. Osiris in heaven, 22. Osiris on earth, 23. Osiris upon his throne, 24. Osiris in Atef Ur, 25. Osiris Seker in the closed chest, 26. Osiris Prince of Eternity in Anu, 3. 1. Osiris the Begetter, 2. Osiris in the Sektet boat, 3. Osiris in Retu Nifu, 4. Osiris Lord of Eternity, 5. Osiris Lord of Everlastingness, 6. Osiris in Tesha, 7. Osiris in Seshet, 8. Osiris in Utreset, 9. Osiris in Utmate, 10. Osiris in Out-Ert, 11. Osiris in Apert, 12. Osiris in Shenu, 13. Osiris in He Kenut, or, as others say, in Hezet, 14. Osiris in Seker, 15. Osiris in Shau, 16. Osiris in Heru, 17. Osiris in Upek, 18. Osiris in Mati, 19. Osiris in Menach, 20. Osiris, souls of his father, 21. Osiris, Lord of the world, King of the gods, 22. Osiris in Bener, 23. Osiris Tai, 24. Osiris on his sand, 25. Osiris dweller in the hall of his cows, 26. Osiris in Sa, 4. 1. Osiris in Sapti, 2. Osiris in Asher, 3. Osiris in all lands, 4. Osiris dweller in the pool of the great double house, 5. Osiris in Het Ben Benet, 6. Osiris in Anu, 7. Osiris the aged chief in Anu, 8. Osiris in Hamak, 9. Osiris in Akesh, 10. Osiris in Paof Nu. 11. Osiris in the great temple. 12. Osiris, Lord of Life, in Abtu. 13. Osiris, Lord of Tatu. 14. Osiris, dweller in the throne of his habitations. 15. Osiris, Prince in Abtu. 16. Osiris, Prince in the hidden place. 17. Osiris in life in Hetkar-Ptah. 18. Osiris, Lord of Might, Destroyer of the Foe. 19. Osiris, Bull in Kent. 20. Osiris Aheti. 21. Osiris Se. 22. Osiris Heru-Kuti. 23. Temple of the body of the great company of the gods. 24. Opener of the roads of the south, governor of the two lands. 25. Opener of the roads of the north, governor of heaven. 26. Ptah, stablisher of the holy seat of Ra. 5. 1. One invoked in Het Ben Benet. 2. Seb, prince of the gods. 3. Heru-Ur, Heru-Kentet and Maati. 5. Heru-Sa-Auset. 6. Amsu-Sutem Heru-Net. 7. An-Mutfa-Ab-Ur. 8. Kanemu Heru-Hetep. 9. Heru-Sakai. 10. Heru-Kentkati. 11. Heru-Tehuti. 12. An-Heru. 13. Anpu-Kent-Netase. 14. Nut. 15. Isis, goddess in all her names. 16. Resek-8. 17. Shentit. 18. Hektit. 19. Neskim, both Lord of Eternity. 30. Nit, Neith, Serket. 21. Mart. 22. Ahit. 23. The four birthplaces in Abtu. 24. Great Mesken. 25. Mesken Sekebet. 26. Mesken Men Ket. 6. 1. Mesken Nefert. 2. Amseth. 3. Harpi. 4. Tuamata. 5. Kebsenuf. 6. Urias within the divine house. 7. Gods, guides of the Tuat. 8. Gods of the Keti. 9. Gods, goddess within Abtu. 10. Shrines north-south. 11. Devoted ones of Osiris. 12. Osiris dweller in Amentet. 13. Osiris in his every place. 14. Osiris in his place in the land of the south. 15. Osiris in his place in the land of the north. 16. Osiris in every place where his car wisheth to be. 17. Osiris in all his halls. 18. Osiris in all his creations. 19. Osiris in all his names. 20. Osiris in all his holdings. 21. Osiris in all his risings. 22. Osiris in all his ornamentations. 23. Osiris in all his stations. 24. Heru Nechtef in his every name. 25. Anpu, dweller in the Sahab hall in his every name. 26. Anpu, in the town of embalmment. End of chapter 35.